and welcome to another deep dive. We are focusing on the Phoenix Suns. Currently, the first seed at All-Star break, current record of 48-10. They have currently on a 7-game winning streak, 9-1 in their last 10, and have a 6.5 game lead over the Warriors, who are in the second seed, obviously. Just jumping straight into it, letter grade, I think it's self-explanatory. It's an A+. Obviously, a really great record heading into the break and a huge lead in first place. And it's looking like they're probably going to keep it that way, and I expect it to probably stay that way. But honestly, another really great year for the Suns. Personally, I didn't expect them, or at least to not have a record like this. But obviously, Suns have solidified themselves as a really good team this year and last year as well, making it to the finals and trying to get back to that point and get a trophy this time. But yeah, Suns, self-explanatory, A+. They're a really good team.
Yeah, I don't think you can rate this team below an A+, really. I mean, back when they went on that, really crazy, winning streak early on in the season, people were just saying it's either going to be the Suns or the Warriors who are going to be that one seed. And it still looks like that. Obviously, the Warriors have had some bad losses here and there, but the Suns still, again, have another crazy winning streak. They've won 7 in a row, 9-1 in the last 10. There's really, I don't think you can put this team below A+, like I said. I mean, this is everything that you'd want as a Suns fan. It's unless something crazy happens, I don't think that this team goes out of the first seed. So, I mean, expect the Suns to be the first seed in the West and looking to make a push for the championship this year, I think.
So having that one seed, they're going to be playing one of 4 teams: the Timberwolves, Clippers, Lakers, Blazers. So the winner of, assuming things stay the same, Timberwolves, Clippers, that would be the 7th seed. I would assume probably the Clippers would win that matchup. It'd probably be close because of injuries, but I would say the Clippers probably win that. Lakers, Blazers. You would think the Lakers, but we've obviously seen different results. But assuming the world is not flat, Lakers won that. And it would be Lakers, Timberwolves, and I would assume the Lakers would win that as well. But then again, could go either way. We get a Suns-Lakers rematch from last year. Lakers would beat them. And then the Lakers go all the way for a title win. No, just kidding. I think realistically, the Suns would probably...
Better be kidding.
Probably sweep, or best case scenario for the Laker fans, be a 5-game series. Kind of leads into my expectations. I kind of said it. I forgot what exactly my hot take was, but I think I said the Suns wouldn't make it to the Western Conference Finals or something like that. This time around, I think their ceiling is the Western Conference Finals. I just think the final 2 in the West will probably be Phoenix, Golden State. And I feel like that series can go either way because both teams are both really, really good. But I just think the Warriors have more firepower than the Suns, so I feel like it could get a little dicey there. But even if they exceed my expectations and go to the finals, I just still think man, it's just hard. I think the Bucks could probably make it out. Miami, Philly, those teams. But I think if the Bucks make it out of the East and they play the Suns again, I still think the Bucks are a better team than the Suns. It's just no one can really stop Giannis, and I just think the Suns just need a little more experience, playoff experience. even though they have CP and Jay Crowder, but those young guys still need a little more experience before I give them a finals win. But for me right now, my ceiling for them is the conference finals.
I mean, it's kind of like the same thing, like what we said a couple, months ago. This team's really good, obviously. I think that they're gonna stay the one seed. They're gonna sweep through whoever they play in the playoffs until the Western Conference Finals. Um, and then obviously whoever they play in the finals, I think it'll be a close series. I'm kind of with you with the Warriors. I think that if Steph is obviously playing to where we expect him to play, that team definitely still has a lot more just weapons overall. I think even coming off the bench as well. I think they're just more well rounded. They've obviously had some pretty tough losses recently, but I still think when it comes playoff time, they'll figure it out. But if they do end up going to the finals, I just depending who comes out on the East, I'm just looking at you know the Heat, Bulls, Sixers, or Bucks. Those are the four teams that I think just I don't know if the Suns could beat those teams in a 7 game series. I like each of the maybe the Heat. I don't know though, but it's just I don't know when they get to that finals. I don't know if they could overcome whoever they beat in the East. Obviously, they have a really good regular season record, but we've seen in the past that doesn't matter that much when it comes to the finals and all that. Um, I think it's just going to kind of be like what it was last season when it was against the Bucks. They just kind of fall apart in the last couple of games, and it just even if they just can't stop a certain player, which was Giannis obviously last year. So they're definitely inexperienced. Um, it's just their peak definitely is the conference finals. I don't see them falling under that. There's no other West team besides like the Warriors really that obviously depending where the Warriors get seated, the Suns won't play them until the Western Conference Finals. I don't see a team that really could beat them, uh, except the Lakers. But no, it's just like yeah, it's Western Conference Finals or bust for this team. Really, obviously they want the championship, but that's their ceiling. I don't think they fall under it. There's no way in hell that this team doesn't make that. If they don't, then it's going to be a really disappointing year, and there's probably tensions will rise within that team if they don't make it.
My question to you is: do you think this Suns team will ever win a championship?
Uh, it's if it's not in the next this year or next year, then no, because I don't know how long CP3 is going to play for. Obviously, no one knows. So I think their window is within his playing time, obviously, and until he like starts to fully fall off. Um, will they win a championship with it before that? I mean, I'd like obviously I'd like to see it. I'd like to see CB3 get a ring, Booker get a ring. But can they do it? I just look at the East and I see the Heat, Bulls, Sixers, and Bucks, and I just don't know if this team could beat any of those teams. Obviously, like I said, regular season records like really don't matter to me as much. Obviously, you just got to look at the teams when they're at their peak. The Bucks are a scary team. Obviously, they won last year. Giannis is just a really good player. The Sixers, with Harden and Embiid, that's just another scary, duo to go against. The Bulls are playing really well. DeRozan's playing out of his mind right now. Will it keep up until we get to the finals? I don't know. And then the Heat are obviously just that team that is one of the best overall teams in the league, and they just put in like a lot of effort and all that. It's just I'm gonna say no. I don't think they do, but I definitely could see a world where they do. But in my personal opinion, I do not see this Phoenix Sun team winning in the next year or two. That's kind of where I put their window because I don't know how long CP3 plays for.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Honestly, I just, I just can't find myself to put this team over the edge.
Yeah,
And I don't really. know how you get over that hump because obviously it's kind of just bench pieces you have to fill out. But I think this is probably the best the team can get. You know, backup center was kind of their downfall last year. They didn't. They had Frank Kaminsky, which we all know his capabilities, which isn't good, and Saric was out for the year. So they went and got JaVale. Obviously, he's been really good this year. Good complimentary piece for Ayton. And they have Bismack Biyombo as well, who I didn't really expect someone to get as much run as he's getting right now. He's been really good. But it's just, I don't know if there's any player or role players that you can put on this team to put them over the hump. I just think it's kind of is what it is because I just think the star power is just greater on other teams. Yes, CP and Booker are really good, but you have to go against the Giannis's, the Currys, the Hardens, the Embiids, and Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, all the other great players in this league. CP is obviously getting older. His windows or his valuable play probably won't last as long. I think the 1 to 2 year window is probably what they have, and I just can't put myself to putting this team getting a ring and being players or teams with greater star power, and that kind of transitions to our talking point about Chris Paul. He recently suffered a hand injury. He was wearing a cast at the All-Star practice, and I saw another report by Brian Rindenhorst. Don't know how true it is, but I guess CP3 could miss some time with that hand injury, which could be a little worrisome, but I don't know how serious it is. You saw it last playoffs with his shoulder. He eventually overcame it, and after the first round, he looked pretty normal after that. But with Chris Paul, you can't really afford an injury. Hopefully it's not too long because he's kind of the driving force for that team, and I think if you take Chris Paul out of that equation, things could get a little dicey if he's not fully 100% come playoff time.
Yeah, something I was going to mention is like, I think another thing with the Suns team that I have a problem with is like, they have a good overall team, but when it comes to like truly like, I don't know if it's a hot take, but when it truly comes to like taking over a game that they need in the playoffs, outside of Booker and maybe CP3, I just don't really see it with anyone else on their team. And this is mainly directed at Deandre Ayton, but like, he's a good player. He's like averaging like 16 and 10, but like, he just doesn't like give me that like guy who could take over a game when needed in the playoffs. Come like when he needs to really play good, and like he doesn't give me like an Embiid type of big man, like a type of player that can really take over. I would say AD, but like he's just injury prone right now. But when we did win the championship a couple years ago, like he just doesn't give me like that kind of vibe of someone who like when you need a bucket, like he can go, be that number two that like Booker would need. That's also, I think, another big problem with this team that why I don't see them winning. But on the CP3, that's like I said, the only way this team isn't the one seed if something, drastic happens. And him being out for what'd you say, like a while you said? They don't know how long?
One horse just said he could miss some time, but I don't know what that means, honestly.
I don't know what that means either, but let's just say like maybe a month, maybe 3 weeks. Obviously, hope that doesn't happen, but this team could slip a little bit, could lose a couple games. So, I mean, as long as he's healthy by playoff time, I don't see it as an issue, really. Obviously, let's hope he's healthy by then, but I don't think, depending how serious it is, I don't think the Suns really care.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking at the article. Results of an MRI that was scheduled for Thursday hasn't been released by the team, so no results known by the public, but he said he's optimistic that the guys can hold it down if he does miss some time. But kind of going back to your point, I was going to talk about it, but Deandre Ayton, my gripe with him has been they don't use him enough. I looked at his usage rate. I think it's like 20% or something pretty low. It's I I don't know if he's really a player that you can just give the ball and just get out of his way, because
Yeah.
I still think he needs to develop that a lot more. He's shown some flashes with a mid range. I think he's pretty good with that. And his three, he's taken very little. I think like not even one a game, which is obviously fine. But I assume he's eventually going to develop that as well. But I think just simply giving him more touches, it doesn't necessarily have to be here, get the ball, score, now do something with it. It's just getting him those touches to keep him involved, because I feel like this year we haven't really heard much about Ayton. Obviously, he's going to be a restricted free agent this year, so we'll see how that pans out. But for this team to go to another level, you make a good point. You got to give Ayton some more touches, or just have him develop more of an offensive game, because when I watch Suns games from time to time, I don't see him being used really. It's kind of just the CP Ayton pick and roll, and that's kind of where Ayton gets his points off of. I would just like to see him get more of an offensive rhythm from a game to game basis, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a thing. I'm not like I don't know. I'm obviously like not part like no one knows what that goes on day to day, but it could also just saying it could be like maybe they don't believe he could be a guy who can get more usage or like get those more opportunities, or maybe he doesn't even want more of those opportunities. Who knows? But it's like yeah, that's what you really need out of him. That's my biggest problem with this team. That's I already said it. It's just who knows how long maybe they do change it up, and that's what they need. But his mid range has been decent. It definitely has gotten better since he came into the league, but his perimeter shooting is just not the best in my opinion. So that's probably the biggest thing that he needs to work on. So yeah, that's just the thing with the Suns that kind of just makes me feel like they're just not that championship team that we expect them to be.
Yeah, and then we can kind of transition into his free agency. I don't really think there's too much debate about it. Obviously, there was the whole thing of the Suns not giving him that rookie extension at the extension deadline thing, which I found pretty puzzling, because you're just delaying the inevitable. You're just going to max him out, or at least I think they are, at the end of the year. But I'm kind of thinking about it now. I kind of use the analogy when Michael Porter got a max, that Ayton was definitely worth a max. But with his stats right now, obviously 16-10 is good. But now, with a couple months later, I just don't know if he's necessarily worth that max. He's a really good player, I know, but it could look pretty bad if you throw him that max. But I think you're kind of just gonna have to give it to him, because I just you can't afford him to walk.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, is he worth the max? Hell no. Is he going to get the max? 100%. There's no way.
Yeah.
The Suns just aren't going to let him walk for free. Like, they're just not. They're going to give him the max. It's as much as, like, you look at it and you say, oh, it's, like, not really worth it, or, oh, like, there's probably, like, players that, like, deserve this. It's kind of the same with the Michael Porter thing. It's like, does he deserve it? No, but, like, is the team going to be stupid enough to do it because they want to keep this player around? Yes. So, yeah, that's what's going to happen unless the Suns just fully fuck him over and don't get him, and then they're screwed because who's their center? But
Yeah.
yeah, he's gonna get it.
Yeah, just a team like Phoenix, you're
They have
obviously,
no other options, so
yeah,
like they have to.
yeah, you just have to suck it up and pay it. And I assume it's going to pull off, but only one way to find out. So that'll be interesting. But kind of transitioning to their standout players, obviously, D Book and CP are the top two for me. But I mentioned them earlier. JaVale and Bismack Biyombo have been really good as well. Center play has been something, our backup center play is something that they needed coming into this year. And JaVale has just been a really serviceable big since leaving the Lakers, and he's continuing to show that. So he's been really good. And Bismack, a guy that they initially signed to a 10-day deal, he's been really good in like kind of a spark plug role. So I don't know if they signed him for the rest of the year. I'm not sure if he's even still on the team. But when I did see he was on, when Bismack was getting playing time, he's looked really good.
Yeah. Just they're outstanding players. You're getting the same thing from D Book, DeAndre, and CP3. No, I don't think any of them are like truly disappointing. Bridges is he's like scoring hasn't taken a huge leap, but definitely his defense is pretty a good freaking jump from last year. People could make an argument for. I mean, like you already mentioned, getting JaVale was pretty big. We've known as Laker fans and seen him around the league. He's not a bad option to be your backup center, and he definitely can prove to be that um, player you need coming off the bench. And yeah, I mean, I kind of have like this is the same thing as the Nets for me. I think I said it when we did the Nets one as well. Is like I look at the team and there's like just no one that's like outstanding like crazily or like
Mm-hmm.
disappointing me crazily. It's just kind of like what you expect out of this roster. It's what you expect from everyone. Obviously, you know, Booker's having another crazy year, averaging like 25 or whatever he's averaging. Um, Maybe you like to see Ayton do a little bit better, and same with Chris Paul. But yeah, I kind of answer like both, like outstanding and disappointing. I mean, it's just kind of like it's what I expected personally coming into the season from this team, stats wise. When you look at the roster,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go to. There's not really any disappointing players. Similar to the Nets, I said the same thing, but the Nets have some trash veterans. The Suns really don't. They're just all really good to good players on this team. So I don't really think there's anything disappointing from this team. I think the record for itself says it. But yeah, I think that's going to about do it. Do you have any closing thoughts?
no, I kind of said what I wanted to say about this team. Yeah, be interesting to see how this playoffs plays out. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, yeah, that'll do it. I'll say it here first. Lakers, huge title run this year. Huge title run.
Upsetting the Suns. I can't wait to see
Upsetting
it.
underdogs every series. We'll take out
Westbrook comes back to his
Westbrook. Okay,
MVP form.
OKC Westbrook. He's gonna come out of his little shell. He's been a little nervous.
LeBron's gonna go back to dropping 30 a game
just
just to lose. I mean, win.
just give AD another 4 weeks so he can
Get hurt again.
so he can rest up and get ready to take out those Suns in the first round. Because AD, he's a man of revenge. So
Oh yeah.
we'll take out Suns in
Oh
5.
yeah.
Okay.
Jesus.
That'll do it for this deep dive. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, Instagram down below in the description. Go follow that. And we'll see you for whatever video we do next. Cool. Hasta
Peace.
luego.